it's saying poor connection. Okay.
Okay, we're nearly getting it on the computer now, on the laptop. Let's see. Anyway, let's start. Okay, so we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, entitled Jnana Yoga, text number 46. Tapasvibhyo diko yogi.
Tapasvibhyo yogi.
Jnanebhyo pimatodika.
Jnanebhyo pimatodika. Okay. Next.
You're sort of a bit frozen. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, that's good, that's good. Something happening on, hang on. Hang on. And laptop going now.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay. Am I in? Am I in?
1, 2, testing. 1, 2.
Okay.
It's echo.
Good. Yeah, I turned my phone off.
Oh.
Okay, so let's start again. Tapasvibhyo diko yogi.
Tapasvibhyo diko yogi.
Jnanebhyo pimatodika.
Jnanebhyo pimatodika.
Kamebhyaschadiko yogi.
Kamebhyas
yogi.
yogi.
Tasmad yogi bhavajuna.
Tasmad yogi bhavasvajana.
We'll do it again. Tapasvibhyo diko yogi.
Tapasvibhyo diko yogi.
Jnanebhyo pimatodika.
Jnanebhyo pimatodika.
Kamebhyaschadiko yogi.
Kamebhyas
Diko yogi.
Tasmad yogi bhavajuna.
Tasmad yogi bhavasvajana.
Okay. Gulshan Prabhu, would you like to read the translation, please?
A yogi is greater than aesthetic, greater than empiricist, and greater than fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi.
Okay.
Atheistic.
So there's a bit of a hierarchy here of better and best. So first of all, what's a ascetic? Does anyone know what the word ascetic means?
It's ascetic means like those who do the pious activity.
Yes, pious activity, but particularly
and neastic. Is it the opposite of that? Is an atheist?
Oh no, not really, not really.
Okay.
I thought it was like a wise man, isn't it? An ascetic.
That's more about an empiricist. Ascetic, see the word is tapas vibhya than the ascetics in the word for word. Tapas. So tapas means austerity. So ascetic means one who performs bodily austerities. What does austerities mean? Do you know what the word austerity means?
Well, I think it would be controlling his mind, his tummy and his genitals.
Yeah, those are definitely examples, good examples of austerities. Yeah, things that are difficult to do, isn't it? It's difficult to control the mind and the senses. That's difficult. So one who voluntarily does that is known as tapasvi, or an ascetic. Especially what they would do things like in the summertime, they would surround their bodies with fires. They would light fires around around where they were sitting, and to make it even more hotter. So that's definitely difficult to do. And in the winter, they would submerge themselves up to the neck in the cold rivers. In the rivers, in the winter, they would submerge themselves and stay there. So, really difficult things to do. And why did they do that? That's a good question. Does anyone have any idea why would someone like voluntarily inflict so much pain and difficulty on the body?
Wasn't it originally to so they became closer to the Supreme?
Yeah, but okay. So how does putting fire around your body in the summer or freezing cold water in the winter, how does that bring you closer to God?
Because you
Just
want to detach from your bodily.
Yeah, that's it. Good one, Bhakti Mala, good one. Yeah, before we can attach ourselves to God, you have to detach yourself from the body. So to help develop detachment from materialistic life, from bodily enjoyment. What's the number one thing, an illusion that we try to do in the material world? What is the soul trying to do in the material world? What are we doing here? What are we trying to do?
Trying to become like, we are having a body. That's what the thing is.
We have the body, and what are we trying to do with the body?
Enjoy.
Enjoy the body. We're trying to enjoy the body. So to cut off that spirit of trying to enjoy the body, they try to do the opposite.
In order to connect.
Create suffering for the body. To just to detach themselves from the body, and to help them realize that I'm not the body. And so that's one way of realizing, one process of realizing, like what we were taught when we joined the Hare Krishna movement, that we're not the body, that we're a spirit soul, that we're a servant of Krishna. So we heard the philosophy from the gurus and the teachers and read it in the books, but they're trying to practice it like that through doing very difficult things.
But,
I mean, we have our own austerities too, like getting up early in the morning, even in the winter time, whatever time of year, even in the winter, it's very cold and dark and everything. So I get up early for Mangalarati and like that. Sometimes there might not be hot water available or whatever, so take a cold shower or whatever like that, but still do it. It's very difficult. So like that. And even chanting 16 rounds can be a bit of an austerity. For people, we're not used to it, are we? We're not used to it in the beginning. So, and then it takes a long time to chant in the very beginning, sometimes many hours like that. So that can be a bit of an austerity, and the mind doesn't want to do it. There's that cartoon where the wife is telling the husband, chant, 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 and the husband says, Can't. So we're a very stubborn mind, many of us very rebels that we don't want to chant Hare Krishna. So it's a bit of an austerity, it can be an austerity. And it's not that there's anything wrong with chanting, is there? It's very easy. Hare Krishna Rama, just 3 words. And if you sing it, it sounds even more nicer. So it's nothing that difficult, really. So why don't we like to chant? It's just because there's a problem with us in our heart, that we're envious of God, that most souls in the material world are envious of God. We want to be God. So therefore we don't want to chant God's names, and we don't want to accept that Krishna's God. So like that, these in the beginning, it can be very difficult because of envy in our heart like that, and that we don't want to chant, or we don't enjoy chanting, things like that. But if we keep, the remedy is if we keep chanting, then gradually all this disease in our heart, like lust and greed and anger and envy and pride and so forth, all these diseases in our consciousness, in our heart, after many lifetimes in the material world, will gradually be removed by Krishna. That's Krishna's mercy. That if we just keep chanting, even if we don't enjoy it, don't worry. Then if you do, that's fantastic. But even if we chant, whether we enjoy it or we don't. Actually, why do we chant? Do we chant for our enjoyment?
No.
Is that the purpose of our chanting, to enjoy the chanting?
No.
Okay, Bob said no. What is it? What is the purpose then?
To
To-
cleanse the heart, more close to Krishna, thinking of Krishna, nothing else than Krishna.
Yeah.
Many things.
Yeah. I mean, in pure chanting, you chant to please Krishna, not to please yourself. Even you might be very unhappy, but the pure devotee just wants Krishna to be happy. It's not a consideration whether I'm happy or whether I'm not happy. The real consideration is that Krishna should be happy, and that's what we learn. That our purpose is to please Krishna's senses. It's not about pleasing our senses, pleasing us. It's about pleasing Krishna. So ultimately, that's why we chant, to please Krishna. Even that's a secondary thing, whether we're enjoying the chanting or whatever we're doing or not. If we are, no, that's nice. There's no problem there. But that's not the goal. And if I'm not happy right now, it doesn't mean I give up because I'm not enjoying it. We chant in any condition, whether we're happy or sad or anything like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if everything you're doing is just motivated by you enjoying it, then you probably won't be able to stick at it. You'll probably give up eventually, because there definitely will be times when things aren't going well or whatever like that. And if we're attached to enjoying everything all the time, then when it's not working out, then we'll probably give up. So it's better when we're not, attached to getting happiness for our body and our mind all the time, because that's just not the way it works. That bhakti, or devotional service, really means pleasing Krishna's senses, and that he should be happy. And of course, we understand that if Krishna's happy, then automatically we'll become happy too, because we're part and parcel of Krishna. So generally that's there. But we also understand that, the material world is a miserable place, and there's so many difficulties there. So it will naturally happen that sometimes things aren't going well. Our health's not good, or we've got some anxiety about something is happening like that, or there's some natural calamities or disasters around us or whatever like that. But even in those times where things are not going well, we should still chant Hare Krishna and still associate with devotees and take prasadam and do all these things that we do, hear about Krishna and like that. And that's the remedy for all of our pain and suffering that we're going through. This is the remedy. And so there's different ways of realizing that, that we're not the body, getting detached from the body. So some people torture the body in all these mechanical ways, putting fire in the summer around it, put it in cold water in the winter and everything. But we become detached from the body, by hearing about Krishna, from the spiritual master and from the Bhagavad Gita, and by engaging in devotional service, automatically we become detached from the body. That's the idea. But that's what ascetics are. That they torture the body in different ways to help them become detached from the body and realize that they're a soul. So it's saying here the yogi is greater than the tapasvi, or the person doing austerities. So yogi here is meaning the bhakti yogi. So this is Krishna speaking. So Krishna is referring to the yogi as the yogi here, that's the bhakti yogi. So the bhakti yogi is greater than the ascetic. and greater than the empiricist. So empiricist, if we look there, that's Jnanibhya in the word for word. Jnanibhya means then the wise. So they're the Jnanis. They're the Jnanis. That's the mental speculators. So they try to realize God from their own mind, from their own limited mind. They try to realize God. So they're generally very intellectual people, like sort of Brahmana kind of person, and they try to understand God from their own mind. They're not necessarily going to surrender to the guru and just and follow the instructions like that, but they want to work it out themselves rather than surrender to a devotee guru like that. They want to work it out from their own mind. So it's saying here that the bhakti yogi is greater than the jnani also. So greater than the person doing austerities, greater than the mental speculator, and greater than the fruitive worker. That's the karmabhya. Then the fruitive workers, karmabhya. So you've got tapasvibhya, that's the ascetics. Jnanibhya, that's the wise person. And in the word for word, and karmabhya, that's the fruitive worker. So karmabhya, that means like Gulshan was saying, doing different sacrifices and rituals. So they worshipping different demigods and doing fire sacrifices, and their idea is to go to the heavenly planets. If I do these sacrifices and please the demigods like that, I'll go to heavenly planets. And they also give charities, karmis, give charity to the priests and to temples and so many things like that. They give charities, and sometimes they do austerities too. But their goal is to get a better life in the next life, to go to the heavenly planets. But here it's saying, so the bhakti yogi is greater than the fruitive workers, greater than the mental speculators, greater than the people doing austerities. The bhakti yogi is greater than all of them. And this is from Krishna's point of view. This is Krishna saying. So this is the opinion that counts. I mean, we might have our own opinion that we think doing the yoga asanas and the pranayama, that's the highest, that's the best process. But that doesn't match up with what Krishna's saying. Krishna's saying that the bhakti yogi is the best. We might think that, doing severe austerities, that's the highest process. But no, that's not. That's what you think. That's what you believe. But Krishna believes something different. And it's what Krishna believes in. That's the main thing. It's Krishna's opinion that counts more than hundreds of other opinions. I mean, I have my opinion. Gulshan has his opinion. Bob has his opinion. And Bhaktimala has her opinion. Everyone has their opinion. But we all have our own individual opinions. We all think differently. But how valuable is our little opinions? Not very valuable, especially if they're different than Krishna's opinion. It's Krishna's opinion that counts. Why does Krishna's opinion count more than anyone else's?
Because of him, that's why we have in the class.
He's the main man. He's the one that makes everything happen. He can click his fingers and universes are created and destroyed and everything. So he's the big boss. He's the controller. So like in an organization, you might have 1,000 workers and you have one CEO. So there's 1,001 people in the organization. Whose opinion counts the most?
The CEO.
The CEO, not the 1,000 workers. Who cares about what the 1,000 workers think? It's the CEO. Whatever he says, okay, from tomorrow, we're going to make a different nuts and bolts from tomorrow.
One of the company I used to work, that the CEO, he always having a meeting in the very different places. One day he had a meeting in the washrooms. We come to the washroom, having a meeting over there.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, when we all go.
Yeah.
Because
that's right. He's the boss, so you have to go along with whatever the boss says, you know.
Right,
So
Krishna is the captain of the ship.
yeah,
Whatever
so Krishna says,
say,
so it's not, because we might say, well, I mean, you Hare Krishnas, you say that Bhakti Yoga is the best, but you know that's just because you're Hare Krishnas. You're saying your process is the best. Actually, that's not completely true, because of course everyone's saying their process is the best. The Christians are saying their way is the best, and the Muslims are saying theirs, and the Buddhists are saying theirs, and the yogis are saying theirs, and the Gyanis are saying theirs is the best and everything. But here Krishna's saying, I can't help it. You know, this is what Krishna's saying, that the Bhakti Yogi is the best, you know. And you might say, well, you're interpreting that where Krishna is saying yogi, you're interpreting that it's a Bhakti Yogi, but Krishna's not saying here a Bhakti Yogi. So how are you interpreting that from the word, because the word is here, Tasmad Yogi Bhavajuna. Therefore, the yogi, Arjuna, he's saying Arjuna, in the last line, Tasmad Yogi. So, and the translation probably says yogi, a transcendentalist. So the transcendentalist is greater than anyone else. So you're so saying, well, Abai, you're interpreting that the yogi here is a Bhakti Yogi, but how do you know it's Bhakti Yogi? Because the next verse, which is the last verse of the chapter, what does Krishna say? So we'll cheat a bit. We'll go ahead because they're connected, these two verses. So we'll go ahead to the last verse of the chapter. Let's read the Sanskrit and then we'll read the English. Text 47. Yoginam api sarvesham
Yoginam api saresham
madgante nantaratmana
madgante nantaratmana
Shraddhavan bhajate yomam
Shadman bhajate yovam
same yuktatamo mata.
Same yuktamo mata.
Okay, Bob, do you want to read the English translation, please?
Yep. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and in the highest of all. That is my opinion.
This is a very famous verse. Prabhupada spoke this verse many times. So yeah, I mean, so the yogi is, as said in text 46, is a transcendentalist, so not necessarily has full bhakti, but Krishna is saying here, of all the yogis, so yogi, Krishna is saying here is someone that's, as Prabhupada's saying, let's look at the beginning of the purport to 46. What is it saying there? So Bhakti Mala, do you want to read just the first line there? First sentence.
In 46?
Yeah, no, let's read the whole paragraph. It's just one paragraph, so let's read the whole paragraph.
When we speak of,
Yeah.
When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. When it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, or Krishna consciousness, is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. Asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect, and empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect, and fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga, and this is still more clearly explained in the next verse.
So 46 is saying yoga is better than anything else, right? It's better than the person doing austerities, better than the person speculating, better than the fruitive worker. So what's left? These are all like transcendentalists, you know, they're trying to advance in spiritual realization. They're trying to uplift themselves from the material world. So if you take out all these, the ascetic, the empiricist, and the fruitive worker, what's left? It's only the bhakti yogis left.
Yeah, bhakti yogi.
So yogi definitely is referring to bhakti yoga. And therefore at the last paragraph, Prabhupada says, therefore the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is bhakti yoga. And this is still more clearly explained in the next verse. So Prabhupada's saying in the last sentence of this paragraph in 46 that the yoga performance mentioned here is bhakti yoga. So where Krishna is saying a yogi is greater than all these other ones, he's referring to bhakti yoga, because that's the only one remaining after you take out the other three, you know, because that's the other options. Either you do the austerities, or you're a speculator, or you're a fruitive worker. And the only other one left is that you're trying to love God. You know, you're a bhakti yogi like that. So, and that's, like he's saying, is still more clearly explained in the next verse. So, and Krishna says there, of all yogis, the one who with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So that's Krishna's opinion, that the bhakti yogi is the highest of all, most intimately united with him in yoga, most intimately connected. Yeah. So Krishna loves everyone, but he especially loves his devotees, especially loves the devotees, the bhakti yogis, and the bhakti yogis love him. How do we know that the bhakti yogis love the Lord? Looking at this verse 47, what is it talking about? How do we know that the devotee has love for the Lord?
Because the Lord says, it's my opinion. All the yogis, the great
Yeah.
faith,
Okay.
that's my opinion.
He gives service. He thinks he knows that Krishna is within himself, and he has great faith. Always abides in me. I don't really know what that means. Always abides in me.
Yeah, but this is what love means. This is what if you love someone, what does it mean that you love someone? Like you might love your child, you might love
first.
your parents. So, you know, you might love your pet. You know, so what are the symptoms of that loving relationship you have with another creature?
You would put them first.
You put them first.
And always thinking about them.
You're always thinking about them. So here where it says, the one who with great faith always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga. So that's love, is saying that someone that loves Krishna, he's the topmost, you know, yogi. He's the most intimately united with me, the person that loves me, this person that's always thinking of me, that has complete faith, that has with great faith is serving Krishna with great faith, and always thinking of Krishna, knowing that he's the supreme personality of Godhead. He has that faith that Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead, and he's going to deliver me from this miserable material world. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. He's the real shelter, like that. And And he has full knowledge, so he knows that everything is within Krishna, like it's saying here, who always abides in me. So what does that mean, who always abides? You know what the word abide means?
I don't.
Could say, where does Bob abide? That means, where does he live?
Oh.
Where does he live? Where does Bob abide? He abides in Newcastle. And Abai abides in Kaitaia. So that's an old kind of word. We don't use that word very much anymore, do we?
No.
Abide. But yeah, abide means live. So the devotee has full knowledge that everything is within Krishna. Everything is, it's just like this whole universe is like Krishna's womb. We're in like the womb of Krishna. The story, right, when Krishna was accused of eating dirt by his cowherd friends, and they made a complaint to Mother Yashoda.
Yeah.
Krishna's very naughty. He's been eating dirt, and mums are very concerned when their children eat too much dirt.
Yep.
So then the Mother Yashoda pulls in Krishna. Krishna, I've heard that you're eating dirt. What's going on? Stop eating dirt. It's bad for you. And Krishna said, no, I haven't been eating dirt. My friends are falsely accusing me, just trying to get me in trouble. They love trying to get me in trouble. If you don't believe me, then look in my mouth. And Mother Yashoda says, okay, open your mouth. And he went, ah. And then she looked in his mouth, and what did she see?
The whole universe.
The whole universe. And she saw herself.
Along with herself, yeah.
Herself inside Krishna's mouth, looking into Krishna's mouth, inside Krishna's mouth, and all the planets and everything like that, the demigods and all the animals and birds and everything. And that just blew every brain cell probably in her brain. And then when Krishna saw she was overloaded, then Krishna put his illusory Maya covering over her to make her forget all that and get back into thinking that, oh, this is just my cute little son, Krishna, the best son, like that. So everything lives within Krishna. So the devotee understands that we're all living within Krishna. We're all living within Krishna. So the pure devotee takes full shelter of Krishna, knows that whatever happens, even like we were talking about before, okay, we're having a bad day. But that's within Krishna's control. Everything is within Krishna's control. Okay, things are not going well today. My health sucks, or, the work that I did failed, or whatever like that, or, this guy, just went crazy at me and argued and everything like that, and I got angry and upset and everything. But the devotee just reconciles that, well, everything is within Krishna, within his control. So we just accept that, and we tolerate all the difficulties like that, understanding it's all Krishna's mercy. So, and I remember one devotee, when we were traveling together as brahmacharis in the bus, one cupboard fell down on the devotee's finger and took the end of his finger off. And I was and with him in the ambulance as we went to the hospital. And he said, I deserve to have my whole arm cut off because of my past bad karma, but Krishna's so kind, he just took the end of my finger off. So even like that, he's seeing it in a very Krishna conscious way, as Krishna's mercy. He's seeing that, because you could see it in a negative way. Why me? I don't deserve this. Or you could see it like that, that I deserve worse, but Krishna's so kind that he's reduced the suffering like that. So this is the way a devotee sees everything in relation with Krishna, that we're all living in Krishna's energy. Everything is Krishna's energy. The trees are Krishna's energy, the birds and the sky and the animals and everything in the earth and our bodies and the soul also is part of Krishna, and all of you and everything like that. So devotee sees that everything is within Krishna. Nothing's outside of Krishna. There's nothing other than Krishna. So that's one meaning of Krishna consciousness, being aware or conscious of Krishna in every situation. There's nothing except Krishna. And because that's what Maya means, right? You know what Maya means? Maya means thinking there's something that's not
Krishna.
what? Krishna. That's what Maya is. Maya means not Krishna, that which is not. That means that which is not. So that which is not Krishna, that's what Maya is. Thinking there's something that's not connected to Krishna, that's not in relationship with Krishna. The devotee in full knowledge realizes everything has a relationship with Krishna. Everything is connected with Krishna. Like that. So that's what it means. So someone that has that full knowledge and full love and has complete faith in Krishna because he has full knowledge. That's where the faith comes from, not blind faith, but faith based on knowledge. So he has full knowledge of the Vedas, and he's heard from the spiritual master, and reads the Vedas and follows the Vedas. So he has, because of that knowledge, he has full knowledge. He has strong faith in Krishna, that Krishna is the supreme person of the Godhead, and I'm his eternal servant, and my only duty is to please him and serve him. Like that. So he has full faith and knows that everything is within Krishna, so that he knows that we abide within Krishna, we live within Krishna, and he's always thinking about Krishna. And that's a sign of love. That's a sign of love, because you think about those things that you love. If someone's thinking about money all the time, what does that mean?
Well, he's attached to the material world.
Yeah, he's attached to money. It means he loves money. Because love means attachment. Love means you're always absorbed in thinking about it. So whatever you love is whatever you're attached to, whatever you're always thinking about, whatever you're absorbed in. So everyone has love, means attachment, but it's just a matter of what you're attached to. You're attached, you love your family members. It means you're attached to them. You're thinking about them. You love your country. You're thinking about your country. You're attached to your country. You love your pets. You're attached to them. You're thinking about them, like that. So the devotee is one who's always thinking about Krishna. It means he loves Krishna. He's always thinking about Krishna. He loves Krishna. Even when he sees another person, he thinks of Krishna. When he sees, a nice natural setting around him, he thinks of Krishna. When he sees some animal or some bird, he thinks of Krishna, like that. So everything reminds the devotee of Krishna. And it doesn't mean that the devotee is not interacting with anyone else. He's just looking at the deity of Krishna or something like that in the temple. No, he's interacting like Prabhupada interacted with so many different people and places and things like that. But every situation, he was thinking of Krishna. And like Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, he said, "We are not living in Los Angeles. We are living in Vaikuntha. This is Vaikuntha." It means the spiritual world. So wherever Prabhupada was, he was thinking about the spiritual world. He was thinking of Krishna. That wherever he was, Krishna was there. And that wherever Krishna is, what does that mean? If Krishna is living in a place, what does that mean? That place becomes what?
That is a heavenly planet. Everything is in there.
Not a heavenly planet, more than a heavenly planet. That's a spiritual world.
Complete.
Yeah. It becomes a spiritual world. So wherever the devotee is, he brings Krishna there. He brings Krishna there. And then wherever Krishna is, that's a spiritual world. That's a spiritual world. And wherever you chant Hare Krishna, not just you bring a deity there, but you bring a deity, you make a temple. Yeah, that's a spiritual world. But also you're chanting Hare Krishna, then Krishna's there. And that's the spiritual world. Do you understand that? You go out to the park and chant Hare Krishna in the park. that park's become the spiritual world. Okay. You know, you're taking prasad, you offer the food to Krishna, it's prasadam. You eat that food, your whole body becomes spiritualized, becomes Krishnized like that. There's a story about one man went to a temple and took prasadam. And then he was walking home through a forest path. And this was in India where they have wild tigers and things. And he was eaten by a tiger while walking home, the man that had prasadam. So eating prasadam doesn't guarantee that you won't get eaten by a tiger or so forth, die in some way. You have to die one way or another, right? But this is interesting what happened next. So then the man that ate prasadam was killed by a tiger, and then the tiger was killed by a hunter. And the tiger got liberated.
Oh.
The tiger got liberated. So yeah, just because the tiger ate someone that ate prasadam. So what to speak of the person that ate prasadam? Even the person the creature that ate the person that ate prasadam went back to Godhead. What to speak of the person that ate the prasadam? You know, so everything's getting spiritualized by being in contact with Krishna. So that's the way a devotee sees everything, you know. And a devotee is always serving Krishna. So always thinking about Krishna. But see, devotional service is not just a mental kind of thing, you're just thinking only. It's also you're engaging your body. Okay, so you're thinking about Krishna, but you also want to do something for Krishna with your body. So there's activities with the body as well. It's like some people think spiritual life is just about your thinking. It is, but more than that, you know, if you really do think about Krishna, you'll want to do something for Krishna. So you'll want to cook for Krishna and offer it to Krishna. You'll want to talk about Krishna. So use your body, right? Use your tongue, and you'll be use your ears, hearing about Krishna, or use your eyes. You see the deity of Krishna, see a devotee of Krishna like that. Or you distribute books about Krishna to people to help them, you know, get free from suffering. So bhakti means you're engaging your mind, yes, but also your body. So that's your rendering transcendental loving service. So you're thinking about Krishna within yourself, and then you're rendering service to Krishna, and you're realizing that everything is within Krishna. So this is some indication of what a devotee is, and this is what Krishna himself is saying about his devotees. That they have great faith in him, that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that we're his servant, and that everything is within Krishna. They understand that everything's under his control, and everything is within his shelter, and they're thinking of Krishna, and they're doing all activities for the pleasure of Krishna. So this is what it means to be a devotee, and if you have those qualifications, then Krishna's saying here, if you have those qualifications of a bhakti yogi, then you're the most intimately united with him. And the topmost, the highest of all, that is my opinion. So yeah, this is the person that's engaging in bhakti is very dear to Krishna. Very fortunate. We're very fortunate. So we're very fortunate to be connected with a real bhakti yogi. So His Divine Loving Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is, if you go by these criteria, Prabhupada had all these criteria. I'm not sure if I have all that criteria. I'm not necessarily always thinking about Krishna. I wish I was, but maybe not there yet. And but Prabhupada definitely had these criteria. And so we should just try to follow Prabhupada, and very fortunate that, you know, he's very intimately connected with Krishna, very intimately united with Krishna. And if we serve the pure devotee to the best of our ability, then that's our good fortune. That's our great fortune. Because not only Krishna says that not only his devotee is very dear to him, but the devotee of the devotee is very dear to him. And that comes out in the 8th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, in one pastime, no, 9th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. So Ambarish, he was a king, a Kshatriya, but he was also a great devotee, like we talked about Raja Rishi. So he's a Raja, he's a king, but also a Rishi. He's like a sage. He's like a pure devotee, a bhakta. So he was like that. And he was fasting, doing Ekadasi fasting. And this yogi, so that comes out, he would be in terms of the ascetic. He would be like that, tapasvibhya, this Durvasa. He's a great ascetic kind of yogi, doing severe austerities. And he was very powerful, and he had like 10,000 disciples traveling around with him. And he'd come over to Ambarish's palace to have some food. So Ambarish said, yes, please, you're my guest. You must please come and eat with all your disciples. And Durvasa said, yes, we'll accept your invitation, but I just have to take a bath first. We all have to take a bath first, because that's Vedic culture, you know, cleanliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness, right? So cleanliness is very important. So before eating, they would generally have a bath and put on clean clothes like that. And even in India today, you see even the most simple people, you know, they'll maybe 2 or 3 times a day have a bath, you know, and before eating, before having breakfast, they'll have a bath. Before having lunch, they'll have a bath, you know, and then in the evening before dinner, they'll have a bath. And sometimes they only have one piece of cloth, even they're very simple, very poor people. So what they'll do, they'll have a bath in their underwear, and they'll have their dhoti or cloth or whatever. They'll wash it while they're having a bath. They'll wash their cloth, and then they'll hang it out to dry. And India is, of course, a very hot climate, so things dry very fast. So when their cloth dries out, then they'll put it back on again. So they have a bath and put clean clothes on. Not you put dirty clothes on after having a bath, but like that. So very clean. So Durvasa's like that, you know, following those kind of Vedic cultural rules, you know, very clean, Brahmana, very clean. And but while he was away having his bath was the right time for him to break his fast, Ambarish to break his Ekadasi fast. So there's a proper time to break a fast and not proper time. So he wanted to complete his activities nicely, you know, for the pleasure of Krishna, to follow the Ekadasi properly. So, but in Indian culture, you don't eat before your guest eats, isn't it? If a guest comes to your house, who eats first? The guest eats first, or the host eats first?
Guest.
The guest eats first. And when the guest is fully satisfied, then the host eats. So that was the culture. And but it was a difficult situation because he had to break his fast. So he consulted with his Brahmana priests, and they said, well, just sip a bit of water, because water is not really eating, but on the other side, you are taking something, so it's like breaking the fast. So he just sipped a bit of water. That's all. And then Durvasa was a very powerful sage, so he could tell that his host had taken something, and he got very angry. So he pulled a hair out of his head and threw it on the ground, and it became this big, like, angry demon, and it went to attack Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj was just very humbly sitting there and, you know, accepting that everything is within Krishna, remember? Everything is under Krishna's control. So if Krishna's arranging this big demon to come and attack me, then I accept it. This must be Krishna's arrangement. I accept this. He didn't do anything. He didn't run away. He didn't pull out his sword and try to attack like that. He just sat there accepting everything is within Krishna. We'll just accept this as Krishna's arrangement. So what happened? Do you know what happened?
Yes.
No. Yeah. Gulshan, what happened?
Yeah, the thing is Krishna's Sudarshan chakra
Yeah.
after Durvasa Muni. And
Yeah, so because, like I said, the devotee loves Krishna, right? With all of his heart and soul. And on the other side, Krishna loves his devotees. So you protect those that you love, right? Isn't it like Bhakti Mala, you love your little dog, so you'll try your best to protect your dog like
and
that.
she fell one day just to protecting the dog, and she got
Yeah.
a sore muscle leg or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gulshan, you have a daughter. If your daughter was in danger, you'd try to protect your daughter. So it's the same for everyone. So Krishna loves his devotees. So he keeps his most powerful weapon, known as Sudarshan Chakra. It's like a blazing disc with many spokes, and it's the most powerful weapon in the whole universe, in the spiritual material world, everywhere, and it's invincible. And so Krishna keeps that weapon for the protection of his devotees. That's what it's used for. So the chakra came out immediately when this demon attacked Ambarish and attacked the demon and defeated the demon. The demon went away. Couldn't do anything.
He went to the Durvasa Muni.
And then that wasn't the end of the story. After he got rid of the demon, then he went after the sage. You rascal, you're created this problem for a Krishna's devotee. I'm going to teach you a lesson. So, and then Durvasa is very powerful. So he traveled to all the different planets, seeking shelter. He went to his father, Brahma. That's how big a personality. He's a direct son of Lord Brahma, the first being in the universe. Dad, help me. And what did his dad say? Brahma say?
And
Sorry, mate. Sorry, my dear son. I'd like to help you, but I can't. Sudarshan is way beyond my jurisdiction to control. And then he went to his brother, Lord Shiva, and said, "Oh, bro, Shiva, please save me from the chakra." And Shiva said, "Look, I'm sorry, my dear brother, but I'd like to help you, but I can't do anything. Chakra is more powerful than me. I can't do anything about it. So try going to Lord Narayan, because it's his weapon. Go and see Narayan." So he was such a powerful sage. He actually went right beyond the covering of the material world into the spiritual world, where Lord Narayan lives. That's Krishna in one of his expansion incarnations with 4 arms. So Krishna, with the Lord with 4 arms, is called Narayan. So Krishna has 2 arms, obviously, plays the flute, and Narayan is an expansion of an expansion down the line of Krishna, and has 4 arms. And each planet in the spiritual world is the chief personality on each of those planets is a particular form of Lord Narayan. So they have different names on different planets. So the different Narayan forms have different names on different planets, and in their 4 arms they have the 4 symbols of Narayan. So in one hand he'll have the chakra, in another hand he'll have the club, the gada, and another hand he'll have the lotus flower, and what's the other one? And the fourth one, and the conch shell, So, and depending on which hand has which symbol, which object, they'll have a different name. So if it has, the chakra in the top left hand, it'll have a particular name. If it has the conch shell in the top left hand, it'll have a different name. If it has the lotus flower in the top left hand, it'll have a different name, and in the other one, different name. Like that. So they have different names according to where they're holding the different symbols. So they're the chief personality on those Vaikuntha planets. And there's unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and they all have Narayan there in charge of those planets. And then the topmost planet of all the planets in the spiritual world, that's Goloka Vrindavan, and there's only one of those planets, And that's where Krishna is. So he's the topmost of all the different Vishnu forms. And so anyway, Durvasa went to one of those Vaikuntha planets where there was Narayan was there. And he said, fell down at his feet, save me, save me. And said, and what did Narayan say? Sorry, I can't help you. He said, very amazing, those verses, what he says. It's really mind-blowing, because he says, I am not independent, which is very unusual, because our definition of God is that God is completely independent. It's called Swarat. He's not depending on anyone else. He means completely independent. That's everyone other than God is dependent on God, but God is that person that's not depending on anyone else, right? That's what we would normally think, that God is completely independent. We need him, but he doesn't need us. He doesn't need anything. He provides all of his own requirements himself. He doesn't need anyone else's help at all. He's completely independent. But in this particular verse, he says to Durvasa, I am not independent. I am completely dependent upon my devotee. I'm completely dependent on my devotee. And it says, I am controlled by my devotee. Now that's another one. We think God is the person that controls everyone else, right? Everyone other than God is controlled, and God's not controlled. He's the controller. God is the supreme controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Ishvara means controller. So Krishna is the Ishvara Parama. He's the supreme controller. But in this verse, he says to Durvasa, I am under the control of my devotees. Not only I'm under control of my devotees, but the devotees of my devotees. So that's what I was getting to. So not only the devotee of the Lord is very dear to the Lord, but also the devotee of the devotee. So that's our hope, that we might not be a great devotee of Krishna directly, like what Prabhupada is, or so many other great acharyas, but if we can become the servant or the devotee of someone that is a devotee of Krishna, that has these qualifications of always thinking of Krishna and always doing devotional service and always, have full knowledge and knowing that they're within Krishna and everything like that. If we do some service, even a little bit of service for some great personality like that, then we're very fortunate. But this verse indicates where Lord Narayan's speaking to Durvasa, indicates just the extent, like what Krishna's saying here in the last verse. He's most intimately united with me in yoga, and it's the highest of all. So this verse, what Narayan's saying, matches up with this, that the relationship between the Lord and his pure devotee is so intimate. They're so intimately united that, because this is, if the Lord is saying that I'm not independent from my devotee, I'm dependent on my devotee, that's love. So what's that talking about? Why is God saying that? That he's not independent, he's dependent on his devotee. That's love. That he loves his devotees so much that he's not independent from them. He'll do whatever they want. He's so indebted to his devotee that he feels that I can never repay my devotee. And Krishna says that, in the Krishna book too, that to the gopis, that I can never repay you for, well, what is it that Krishna feels indebted to his devotees for? If you have a debt to someone, what's happened?
We are obligated.
Because what has gone on? that you have a debt. Gulshan, you have a debt to so and so because what interaction?
The obligation to pay the debts.
You've accepted some service from a person, right?
Yeah.
And therefore you have a debt that you have to pay back that service.
That's
So
right.
someone has given you service, and therefore you feel that you have to repay that service, whether it's money or some object or whatever like that, but some service, right? So why does Krishna feel indebted to, like, the gopis, for example? Because they've done so much service to Krishna, and Krishna feels, I can never repay my debt to you. You've done so much service for me, how can I repay that debt? So Krishna said to the gopis, I can never repay my debt to you. Let the service itself be the reward. Let the service itself.
And
Krishna feels I can never repay.
Want the reward anyway, like a repay back from Krishna. They don't love. They just like. But Durvasa Muni hasn't read the Bhagavad Gita. If he do read the Bhagavad Gita, he knows that I'm not a body. He's running around for nothing.
Yeah, that's right. They're.
He didn't read.
Someone that's not fully Krishna conscious, they try to become detached from their body, but they fail. Yeah. Even the basic things like becoming detached from the body, that's a good point you brought up, Gulshan.
Control the anger. He couldn't even control the anger.
Yeah, they can't control their mind and the anger and everything. So yeah, if you don't surrender to Krishna, then you're never gonna escape from Maya. Maya is always going to just keep smashing you down. And it doesn't matter how big and powerful you think you are, but Maya is just going to thrash you if you don't surrender. So, and that's why she thrashes us to bring us to the point. Like Durvasa was getting good thrashing for what purpose? To bring him to the point of surrendering to Krishna. And part of surrendering to Krishna means you have to surrender to the devotee of Krishna. So that's what he said, that, I'm completely controlled by my devotee, I don't, and then he says in the next verse that the devotee's in my heart and I'm in my devotee's heart. And I don't know anyone else except for them. And they don't know anyone else except for me. Yeah. So this is what it's talking about here too in the Bhagavad Gita. The devotee is always thinking about Krishna, and Krishna is always thinking about his devotee. And they don't think about anything else, like Krishna says there. The devotee doesn't think of anyone except for me. I don't think of anyone except for my devotee. So that's love. That's just indicating the intensity of the love between the Lord and his devotee. So deep. So then Durvasa got the idea, I have to fix this up with the devotee. So he went all the way back to the material world, went back to Ambarish and fell down at his feet and begged forgiveness. And Ambarish said, sure, no worries, no problem. I'm sorry that I took something before you came. I felt bad. Please come and eat, So
that's a pure devotee.
Yeah, so that's another quality of a devotee. They never feel offended. They never feel offended. They're not expecting any respect. They give all respect to others, and they don't expect any respect in return. That's that famous verse from Lord Chaitanya in the Shikshastaka. Trinada pisana shena tori vasu ushnuna manina maridana kirtaniya sarahari, which means that one should always be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, give all respect to others and not expect any respect in return. In such a state of mind, one can always chant the holy name. So that's the formula, those four things, to be able to always maintain our Krishna consciousness, and sometimes we see some devotees, they leave Krishna consciousness. So probably at least one of those four things wasn't being followed. Because if you follow all four things, then it's saying there that you'll always be able to chant. So if you're not always able to chant, or you give up chanting, means that you probably, the person didn't follow these things. Either they weren't humble, or they weren't tolerant, or they didn't respect others, or they expected respect and they didn't get it. Because if you expect respect and you don't get the respect, then you leave. Oh, these people don't appreciate me enough. I'll see you later. I'm going. You know, they're not praising me enough. You know, so I'm leaving. You know, so like that. You know, so. And then if you don't respect others, then like this whole pastime, then that upsets Krishna. You know, like, you know, Durasa didn't respect Ambarish. So then Krishna kicked him up the backside. You know, then you get kicked out. Then, you know, Krishna gives you the boot if you don't respect others. You know, and if you're not humble and tolerant, means then when the different, you know, problems and miseries and suffering of the material world come, if you're not humble and tolerant in that enough, then you just can't hack it. You just give up, you know, and try to deal with it another way. Which what are some other ways of dealing with pain and suffering?
Self-medication, alcohol.
Yeah. Either pharmaceutical drugs or non-pharmaceutical drugs. You know, you know, it's generally the pubs on a Friday night are full, right? People have suffered so much during the week, and, you know, the people just try to forget it on the weekend, right? You know, Friday night, just blot it out, just try to cover up the suffering, you know, like that. So, yeah. But the devotee has full knowledge, so he knows that, you know, I have to suffer now because I turned away from Krishna. That was a bad choice I made, and now I have to suffer, and I have this material body which has got birth and old age and disease and that packed into it, and death packed into it. So what to do? You know, you just have to tolerate. But it's all temporary. The body's going to be finished soon, so you just have to tolerate for a while, and not protest. Be humble, and let it go through its course, and know that we're not the body, you know, that we're an eternal soul. So that's what makes it possible for a devotee to tolerate all these difficulties and to be humble, because we know that we're not the body, that we're eternal soul, that, like Krishna said to Arjuna, right? The soul cannot be cut to pieces by weapons. It can't be burnt by fire. It can't be drowned in the water. It can't be withered by the wind. You know, nothing can hurt the soul. When the body is killed, the soul's not killed. It has no beginning, no end. It's immortal, invincible. You know, the whole second chapter talks about all the qualities of the soul and everything like that. You know, Krishna's...
Well, there is a 7 billion people on the planet. So 7 billion people, 7 billion soul on the planet. Is that correct?
No, there's a lot more than that, because all the animals have a soul, and all the birds have a soul, and all the plants have a soul.
About the human, it's a 7 billion people, 7 billion soul. But if you look at that, like a 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, there was only 4 billion people there. So 4 billion soul. Where the 3 billion soul come from?
Yeah, because the souls are transmigrating, reincarnating from different planets also.
Oh, okay.
And different universes, you know, different planets, different universes. So many things are going on.
And then war goes like a Mahabharata, then a lot of soul, I mean, the people died and soul moved to a different planet, I guess, or...
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't believe in all the modern history, because even 5,000 years ago, there was a hell of a lot more people on the planet than what there are today. But modern history would not say that. But according to the Vedas, even if you go back 5,000 years ago, what to speak of before then, there was a lot more people on the planet.
Talking about 2,000 years ago, was not that many, the population. And now it's just the...
Yeah, well, some things could have happened.
Population had become double for last 1,000 years.
Yeah.
But
I mean, modern historians say that, you know, before a few thousand years ago, we were just, you know, like tribes people running around in the pastures, with bows and arrows and everything, and living in caves and cavemen and everything. So it doesn't really match up with the real truth of the Vedas. Actually, there were great civilizations going back in time, far greater than what's there today. Great civilizations. Yeah. Even 2 million years ago, approximately, Lord Ram was there, right?
Yeah.
Highly advanced civilizations 2 million years ago. What to speak of 5,000? And do you know how Lord Ram got back from after killing Ravana in Lanka, well down off the southern coast of India? He got home to Ayodhya, which is in northern India. So do you know how he got from in the southern Indian Ocean to northern India?
Yeah, he's got a what do you call that? I don't know in the English.
It's called a Vimana.
Pushpak Vimana.
Yep. Vimana means a plane.
Plane,
right?
Yes.
A plane. This is 2 million years ago, a plane. But Pushpa Viman means made of flowers.
Pushpak Vimana.
So they traveled in a plane made of flowers 2 million years ago. Now, what technology do we have, compares to that? And not only he went in the plane made of flowers, but he took the whole monkey army with him in a plane made of flowers. So we don't have any idea how they did like that. That's so far advanced.
Yeah,
and no petrol required, no diesel, no engine.
It's like you're talking about 2 million. I just yesterday there the one of my customers saying about the science and all that technology and these things. I said, look, you know what? I give you a 10 kilo of grass. Can you get 1 drop of milk out of it? He said, oh, how can I do that? I said, we got a cow. We give it grass and milk come out of it.
Yeah.
If there any machine does that, give it a grass and milk the other side comes. He said, no. So we got it as a cow.
Yeah.
You just eat the grass and give the milk.
Yes.
It's Krishna.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Krishna is everywhere. Can you see that? No one can do that. No one can create any machine. You can put the grass and other side the milk come out.
Yeah.
So it's like you can see that. Till today, it's all.
Yeah, there's so much intelligence in nature.
Yeah.
And where does that intelligence come from? In nature, that comes from Krishna. Like that. So yeah, what's coming out here in the Bhagavad Gita is just how much Krishna loves his devotees. How much Krishna loves his devotees. So we really, what should we try to do with our life? This one precious human life, we should try to become a devotee. If you can become, even like I said, even if you can't become fully a devotee of Krishna, but try to become a devotee of Krishna, a servant of the servant, then there's nothing more to do with our life. This is the most valuable way we can use our life. Try to become a devotee of Krishna, or at least try to become a devotee of Krishna, like that. And then Krishna loves you so much, and if Krishna loves you, then what more could you ask for than if Krishna loves me? Krishna loves someone, that person's life is so blessed, so fortunate. What more could you ask for?
His life,
$1 million.
His whole family's life liberated.
Not only you are liberated, but 7 generations backwards, 7 generations forward, like that. Your parents, your grandparents, great-grandparents, your children, their children going forwards, they're all going to be liberated. I mean, you're just so blessed, so fortunate, to become a devotee. So there's nothing better we can do with our time, with our life, than trying to become Krishna conscious. By doing these things, by chanting, by thinking of Krishna, by serving Krishna, you become so dear to Krishna. Krishna loves anyone so much that chants his holy name, that is rendering service to him, that thinks of him. become so fortunate.
So 99% people, they are not a Krishna devotee, so they're wasting their life.
Definitely.
Pretty much. What a beautiful life. We can chant Krishna, Hare Krishna, you can read Bhagavatam, and they're just wasting.
Yeah.
What a precious, like you won't get the human life like every time, 8,400,000 species. After so long time you got it and they're wasting.
Yeah. So this is another feature of a devotee, that they don't have any problem. They're so happy that they have this loving relationship with Krishna, but they have only one problem, and that's seeing that other people are wasting their lives, and they have a valuable human life and not becoming Krishna conscious, and they're going to go downhill in the next life, lose that human form, go to lower species, and the devotee feels so compassionate and so distressed by them wasting their life, and therefore goes out. Yeah, so that's another quality of a devotee. They out of compassion, out of their feelings of love for other souls, they try to spread Krishna consciousness. So that's another thing, that quality of a devotee that makes the devotee very dear to Krishna. And let's just finish off because time's up now. But let's read the 18th chapter, text number 60, around 68, 18, right at the end, near the end of the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, around 60.
For one to explain the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me, 100%.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If you try to help other people become Krishna conscious, like Krishna's saying here, then pure devotional service is guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Did you say 1860?
68. 1868.
68.
For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees.
Yep.
That supreme secret, that's this highest knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, which is said in what's the supreme secret? That's in 66 as the supreme secret. 66 is the supreme secret. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So that's like the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. Just give up all your other processes, and your goals and your aims. And if I serve my family, I'll be happy. If I serve my body, I'll be happy. If I become a millionaire, we have so many ideas, concoctions in our mind. If I worship the demigods, I'll be happy. If I become CEO, I'll become happy. If I make my body beautiful, I'll be happy. So what is Krishna saying here? Give up everything else. Just forget about it. Forget about everything else. Just surrender to me. What does that mean? Do what I say. Like, Krishna's saying to Arjuna, fight. So that's surrender. You do whatever Krishna says. Like in our case, what does surrender mean? Krishna's, through the devotee Prabhupada, is saying, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulated principles, try to spread Krishna consciousness. If you do that, that's surrender. Does that make sense? That's practically what surrender means for us. To follow the orders of the spiritual master, the representative Krishna. Like 5,000 years ago, Krishna was personally there. And Krishna personally said to Arjuna, I want you to fight. So if Arjuna did that, followed that instruction, that's surrender. Now we could say, well, Krishna's not here to tell me what to do, he could give me instructions. So how do I know what Krishna's instructions are? But we have the instructions of the representative of Krishna, the spiritual master. So the representative of Krishna is instructing us, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulated principles, try to spread Krishna consciousness. So if we do that, then that's surrendering. So we give up all our other beliefs and our concoctions and our ideas and just do what Krishna wants. And then if we do that, Krishna says, then he's going to deliver us from all of our sinful reactions, all of our karma. Krishna's going to free us from all of our karma, and then we're going to become liberated. But then the next verse, 69, so that we read 68, for one who teaches this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, of surrendering to Krishna, if one who teaches that, then pure devotional service guaranteed at the end he will come back to me. Then the next verse, what does it say? 69, Bhakti Mala?
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
Well, there you go. Become so dear to Krishna if you do this, you know. Like we were reading in that last verse of the 6th chapter. If you have faith in Krishna and you abide in Krishna, thinking about Krishna within yourself and serving Krishna, then you become very dear to Krishna. But here's another thing also, that if you try to help others become Krishna conscious, you become most dear to Krishna. And if you're very dear to Krishna, then what else is there to do? You've hit the jackpot. You're done and dusted. You've like, this is like the mega lotto, mega lucky dip. You know, that's like the ultimate. There's nothing more than that. You know, it's the ultimate happiness, the ultimate perfection. That's the topmost perfection of life, to become dear to Krishna. You know, and it's very clear here what we can do to become dear to Krishna. It's not all airy fairy wishy-washy. It's a real science. You know, there's specific things that if you do those things, if you think of Krishna, you become dear to Krishna. If you serve Krishna with your body and your words and everything, you become dear to Krishna. If you try to help other people, you know, to become Krishna conscious, you become very dear to Krishna. So these are very tangible ways that we can, you know, develop our own Krishna consciousness and become very dear to Krishna, which is the perfection of life. To have that loving relationship with Krishna, that where we love Krishna and Krishna loves us. And that's our natural position of the soul, that the soul loves Krishna and Krishna loves every soul. And that's just the normal life for a soul. That's our normal life. Anything other than that is not normal. Would anyone like to say anything?
Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna.
That's it.
That even the gopis, when even they milking the cow, even making the butter, always thinking about Krishna. Yeah. Even if they goes to their husbands back to home, still they're thinking about Krishna. Yeah. They were like, you know, no one dear to Krishna than gopis. Gopis are so dear to Krishna. Yeah. That's why we call the tilaka, we call the gopi chandan. Yeah. Like where the gopis drop their bodies, that clay, that mud, that dirt we have to put on the forehead, our forehead. That's because gopis are very close to Krishna. Yeah. That's the one we put on our foreheads, gopi chandan.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, you're welcome. Most welcome.
I'll see you next week.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And next week, would you take the class from Newcastle to Newcastle?
Yeah. Actually, that Thursday. Yeah, we'll be in Newcastle. We'll be in Newcastle that Thursday.
Be there a class. There'll be face-to-face class.
Next Thursday.